As promised, I have already shared with you the links to our materials. So if you want to go through the slides together and write notes on your own, you can do that. All right. Okay. Are you guys ready for the lesson today?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Good to know
Yes, madam.
that you still can interact even though it's already afternoon. Did you have class this morning?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. So today, before we can actually understand what is pitching, what is needed when it comes to group discussion, and also what is business correspondence, in order for us to um, s- accommodate to the assessment, we first want to establish different types of communication so that we understand, number one, that communication is not limited to only one type. There are actually multiple types of communication, and there might be a combination of two or even more when you know speak to other people or as you write. So that is what we are going to do today. Okay. Now, talking about communication, people, in general, if you Google up the meaning of communication, it is defined as the act of transmitting information, ideas, and attitudes from one person to another. So they did not say that it has to be only through words or it has to be with body language. Tak boleh perkataan je, kena juga ada body language, gerak-gerak tangan. Not necessarily. Because when we talk about communication, it's just a matter of you do anything, whatever it takes, in order for you to transfer information from you to the other person or maybe from the other person to you. So tak kira lah, like sometimes when you are close with a person, you don't even need to say a word. Just with an eye contact. Tak cakap apa tangan, badan semua tak gerak. Only your eyes. You look at your friend or maybe your sibling, and then she or he knows it already. So that is already part of communication. So whatever it takes, when you are transmitting information, ideas, and attitudes, that is considered as communication. All right. And when we talk about communication, it cannot be just you alone. If you are speaking to a mirror or if you are doing monologue, that is not considered communication. So communication must take place among individuals, so multiple individuals, that might fall under different categories, background, and they can be put into various types of communication. One-to-one ke, one-to-many ke, or two-way communication ke. So there is a combination of many. So technically, what we are looking at today is something that you already know. Benda yang hari-hari buat. But then again, we tend to um, dismiss the concept of communication. We take communication for granted because we thought that, oh, as human, we should be able to communicate. Apa yang susah sangat? Cakap je lah. Apa yang susah sangat? Present je lah. But then again, you have to understand that the keywords there, categories and backgrounds. So later we will look into that. How there are different personalities, different cultures, situations that we need to adapt and adopt as we go about with the communication process. All right. So these are the different types of communication. We have verbal communication, non-verbal, written, visual, feedback, mass, group communication. So there are multiple of different types of communication. Can you give me an example selain daripada what we are doing now? When I do a lot of I do a lot of talking. I'll do the presentation. I present and you listen. That is part of communication. Other than that, are advertisements considered as communication?
Yes.
Yes. Sedangkan poster tu tak cakap apa pun. If you drive on highways, you will see that there are many posters, right? And then you don't communicate with the advertisement. Like they don't have any voice or any sound, but you see colors, you see fonts, you see words, and those words bring meaning. Have you been eyeing any baju raya already, or have you purchased baju raya? Girls, boys, have you? Oh, dah. Oh, dah.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Have you decided what color or what brand you are going to use? I mean, you're going to buy?
Dah.
No.
Oh, belum juga. Okay, I am way ahead. Before puasa, I have already settled my baju raya. And I'm going back to my mother's place this weekend. I have already ironed my baju raya, so I'm gonna take it home, and because then it will be easier. I mean, it's like more prepared. Then later, when I go back to my mother's place during raya, I have other stuff to bring home. That's how prepared I am this raya. Only this raya. It has never been this way. Okay, going back to advertisement kan. I'm pretty sure as you go about with your choices of baju raya, I'm pretty sure that you come across advertisements, short videos on social media. I'm not quite familiar with TikTok, but I do see some brands, they do have short clips, photo shoots, campaign related to, to forecast their baju raya. Any advertisement that caught your eye that you think that they have done the best to portray raya? Ada tak? Do you have anything, any brand in mind? No? Tak ada. Okay lah, I give you an example. I think personally for me, I think this year Katam has managed to sell simplicity yet still very relatable to normal people. Have you heard of that brand before?
No.
Oh no, okay. Thanks for the emojis, people.
Yes.
Oh, you have heard of that before.
Yes.
Have you seen the campaign?
Oh no. The
Oh,
campaign.
Okay, lepas ni boleh tengok lah ya. Okay, all those thumbs down, you can always Google it out. Their background is white, and then they emphasize more on male raya outfit. So they have different designs, and the color would be pretty solid. I think that would be easier for men because I think in general men like it simple, right? Not too overwhelming. The color should be mostly solid, especially when you talk about when you ask opinions from your father, people who are slightly elderly. So they would prefer that rather than macam, I'm not saying that like big brands like Bulan Bintang and whatnot are not doing um, it right with their campaign, but they're putting so much effort that we are missing the sense of simplicity of raya. But Katam managed to do that. Like they have minimal fonts. They focus more on their clothing, and then the background, they the like the white background, yes. For the poster, it's at the studio, I think. But for the campaign, they use like normal housing. I mean, normal house with like how typically a Malay family would take photo during Raya. When you go back home, usually you will take photo either in living room, at the living room, or outside of the house. So you do that a lot in a normal household, right? When you go back home. So I think that is, I think they managed to translate Raya well in their campaign. So that is part of their communication, how they portray their brand. Oh, lagi satu, I macam jual Katam pula kan. I'm like a spokesperson of Katam. Katam, they don't use any famous influencers or celebrity. They use normal, like photos of common people, like you might bump into them, or they could be your friends, or maybe something like that. So dia tak adalah macam you don't they're trying to mellow it down for the people. That's my opinion lah. All right. So that is part of communication. So when you communicate people, you have to understand. You need to know what you want to deliver and how you want those people to understand what you are saying. Because when it comes to communication, ada je kadang-kadang you make jokes and then people don't get it, right? I think I encounter that a lot, especially now I'm teaching the younger generation. They don't get my jokes. And then usually when I give examples, they hardly relate because you and I, we don't watch the same TV series. We don't watch, we might not follow the same people, kan? So how do we adjust to that? So those are the little things. Benda yang sangat-sangat simple, but it will bring quite an impact to your communication process. So that is very important, people, especially during your assessment later. All right. Now moving on. When we talk about verbal communication, we are looking at expressing views, information, and ideas, still the same, but in forms of sound and words. So there must be bunyi lah, there must be sound. And sound is not limited to only words that bring meanings. So it could always be sounds like or or anything like pauses is part of verbal communication. All right. And usually when we talk about verbal communication, it involves face to face communication. All right. Selalunya. I'm not quite sure, but I always ask this to my students. Do you still talk on the phone for long hours? Oh, you
Yes.
do. All right. Okay. Because sometimes the younger generation, like those days, memang tak ada lah. Like maybe during your grandparents' time or during my mother's time, then usually it's the phone at home. And then during my time, we have started to text a lot, right? Now, lagilah macam-macam. And then when you speak, we are also looking at not only the words you utter, but also how you say the words. Contohnya, the simplest example would be okay, right? Kalau it's a normal okay, then it's okay. Okay, kalau marah, how would you do it?
Okay.
See, from the chat box, I mean, when you answer K and K will full stop pun, we know it already. Marah ke? No, you don't have to, I mean, we are discussing verbal communication, but in the text, kita dah boleh baca dah, K, kalau capital letter K will full stop. Marah lah tu. Alright? So, it does matter how you say it, not just what you say, but also how you say it. So this one would be very useful later for your first and your second assessment. How you pitch your idea and how you convey your points during your group discussion. So the simplest example would be the word okay. Kalau excited, macam mana? For the word okay.
Okay.
Usually when you are excited, bukanlah excited, macam you are in good mood, right? Then the why would be a lot. Okay, okay, macam tu. See? So those are the little things. We do it not to say unconsciously. Tak logik lah for you to communicate unconsciously. But that is something ingrained within us. So sometimes we tend to take things for granted when it comes to communication. So those are the little things that we need to adjust when we communicate. All right? And then we rely on verbal communication to exchange messages with one another and to develop as individuals. Okay lah. Yes, LCC 503 is focusing on business communication, but to make better sense to you, people, going back to those time ataupun maybe now lah, that's what you're doing. When you try to get to know a person, when you get to know a new person, whether a stranger for the purpose of friendship or for partnership, you usually start with texting. And then when you develop a certain interest, you think that, you can take this further, the next thing would be to call that person. Yes? Okay, so from there, you will develop a different kind of the relationship would develop either to something better, or could be, it could stop there somewhere. But through the verbal communication, we get to know a person better. Okay, and then what we are doing at the moment, right? The way I speak, the way I portray myself, I'm pretty sure you do have a certain perception towards me. How I am like as a person, as an individual, or as your teacher. So that would be the same for you when you communicate. So people would actually see beyond your words. Through your words, the way you say your words, it could actually reflect your personality, your attitude as you complete the whole process of communication. So betul lah kan? When you get to know a person, it starts with maybe texting, something simple, and then at some point tu mesti nak kena cakap on the phone. You have to hear that person's voice and see like, can you take this further? Or macam tak je. Right? So sama lah macam business communication pun. That's why when you want to share ideas with maybe your superiors or with a big audience, the way you project your voice must reflect your confidence, must reflect your knowledge and whatnot. Okay, begitulah. Alright? The second last point here in the slide, it says that the term verbal communication often evokes the idea of spoken communication, but written communication is also part of verbal communication. I think the direct example would be in the chat box. The moment I said, how would you, say okay, and then you can actually hear it from other people's point of view. Sama lah macam when you're texting, you kind of guess, oh, orang ni busy ke tak? Orang ni boleh reply ke tak? I think you will experience this, especially when you are texting with someone who you are close with, either your parents or your siblings or even your close friends. They don't have to directly say it to you, but you can sense it. Okay. So in general, when we talk about verbal communication, it is defined as the exchange of information with the use of words, either spoken or written. But of course, mostly spoken. Here's the thing tau about communication. Dia macam you don't have an objective answer. When you talk about verbal communication, you thought it's only limited to words. Lepas tu dia kata, tak lah, it includes sound. And then as you go about trying to understand verbal communication, when you have already set your mind that, oh, okay, it's a combination of words and sound, suddenly it says that even written communication is part of verbal communication. So it's pretty subjective depending on the context, the elements that you need to work around it. All right. Now, moving on to non-verbal communication. Now, when we talk about non-verbal communication, here we are referring to communication that is produced by some means other than words. So it could be anything. Eye contact, body language, vocal cues. Again, eye contact ni macam-macam. When you look directly to your friend's eyes or your sibling's eyes, and then you direct them to a certain direction, or they know that they should look at that particular direction. Ataupun when you roll your eyes up, what does that mean? What does annoyed, all right? Other than that, is there any situation when someone compliments you and then you roll your eyes up? Macam ada No, all right. You know, like sometimes when people say, oh, you look so nice today. And then you're like, oh, thank you. And then you roll your eyes up. It does not make sense. It doesn't sing, right? But sometimes we do that too, right? Like, especially with close friends, like you're right. You know, something like that. Could be that. So your non-verbal communication, all right, Amirul, your verbal communication must be aligned with your verbal communication. All right. So let's look at few examples here. Contohnya, when you have expression of emotion. Emotions are expressed mainly through face, body, and voice, right? And then communication of interpersonal attitudes. This can be developed through established relationship, like I said just now, when you direct your eyes, or when your mom look at you, you know that you're supposed to stop doing that, you know, something like that, right? Ataupun accompany or support speech, right? Something like nodding heads, like sometimes you want to be part of the conversation, but at the same time, you don't want to interrupt. Bayangkan as I am speaking to you, and then all of you on your microphone, and you be like, yes, yeah, okay, yeah, true, madam. Like, it would be no longer an effective communication. It would be a barrier. Sebab macam as I speak, and then I will hear voices like, yes, true. So hopefully, I mean, if it's face to face, then you will do the nodding, right? But since this is online, so you are sharing all your emojis, hence thumbs up lah, laughing emoji lah, thumbs down lah, right? So that's part of the communication. Or maybe in face-to-face class, when someone when the students look tired, right? They look pretty fatigued, then the lecturer will give them a quick break. Macam tu lah. Okay. So this must be adapted in your, especially your group discussion. Okay. Why do I emphasize on your group discussion? Because for idea pitching, you control the communication process. You do the talking, and then your audience are expected to listen within that short period of time. But for your second assessment, where you are required to speak with your team members, there are times maybe you want to interrupt. And then maybe when you try to interrupt with good intention, but your friends feel offended, you may want to clarify, like, I don't mean to interrupt. Or I don't mean to interrupt your point. It's just that I feel we do need to something. So that is a disclaimer to, again, create comfort within the communication process. The simplest example, I'm pretty sure that you have presented in front of the class before, right? Okay. So usually by the end of the presentation, there will be a Q&A session, right? There are times that you are ready for the questions, but there are times you're not ready, and then you get annoyed, irritated, and with a little bit of grudge, you plan to ask question to the friend who asked you a question, right? So through that, it will reflect your credibility as a presenter. If you don't know how to answer it, you could always admit it and maybe, provide a solution that maybe that person could Google up the information on their own, or maybe you can Google it up and then you inform them later. Also, it's more on how you react to it. So this is very important. Katakanlah when you are presenting your points during the group discussion, and then you see that your friend's face is a bit confused. They show a little bit of confusion. So you cannot just straight away proceed with the justification or the points. You need to go take a step back and maybe, clarify on the uncertainty. So that is very important to adjust from time to time. All right. And then non-verbal communication is also about self-presentation, presenting oneself to another through non-verbal attributes like appearance. So the way you dress up is part of non-verbal communication. And finally, rituals. So the use of greetings, handshake, and other rituals. Non-verbal communication ni usually is closely related to cultures. Not only limited to different races, but we are also looking at different cultures of a different group of people. Like even within family, you do have different culture, routines, and rituals. So it's very important for us to adjust or not to offend other people. All right. So these are few functions of non-verbal communication to convey meaning. So with verbal communication, we complement it with non-verbal communication. Macam bila kita cakap, oh dekat sana, so sometimes you say, oh it's there. It can be complemented with your mouth, your lips, all right? Or it can be complemented with your hand gesture, all right? Or it can be complemented with your body language. So that would enhance the communication process to influence others, all right? To regulate conversational flow. Macam tadilah I cakap, you nod, or when you smile as people speak, or when you make eye contact, right? To relate to other people and to express our identity. Do you agree that how you portray yourself in a way reflect your personality? Yes, right? The way you dress up, macam as simple as the type of tudung you wear. Either it's short, either it is shawl, or whether it is bawal, or whether it is instant. So as simple as that, right? The choice of color, the choice of shoe. So in a way, how you dress up does affect other people's impression towards you, right? Memanglah, we always say don't judge a book by its cover, but that would be the first impression. To judge is to know that person first. Okay? Right. So far, so good, people. Are we on track? Right. Very good.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, let's look at different types of non-verbal communication. We have kinesics, facial expression, head movement and posture, gesture, eye contact, proxemics, appearance and artifacts, and paralanguage. When we come across all these words, this is actually part of our daily life. Contohnya macam when we talk about history, artifacts, right? Through a certain shape of cutleries, people can actually know, researchers can actually know from which era the artifact comes from, right? And then if we talk about paralanguage, we are looking at how different culture modify their speech through non-speech sounds. Okay, contohnya, in Asia, among Asians, silence means, what does silence means usually? Why do you keep yourself in silence? Okay lah, contoh macam ni. When your parents, the elders are speaking, or when they ask for your opinions, you tend to be more quiet and reserved. Why is that? Why do Asians are more reserved? Respect. Okay, respect the elders. All right. Takut kena marah. All right. We disagree on it. Or when you keep quiet, you actually disagree, but you don't want to say it. All right. Agree with question mark. I don't know. Fear. All right. So the way we treat silence is a bit different in Western culture. So for the Asians, silence usually means respect, and then the extension of respect could be because you are scared of being scolded, or you actually disagree but you don't want to offend the elders because we respect their opinions and thoughts. But then how we want to do it, whether we want to follow our way or their way, that is for us to decide. But as we are having a conversation or a discussion, we won't offend other people, right? Especially during Raya ni lah. When people ask sensitive questions, on social media, they will do a lot of parody. But I think most of the time, we would just stay silent, right? Do you usually respond to any sensitive questions to you? All right. What are considered as sensitive questions for you people?
Kenapa dah gemuk?
All right. Okay. Other than that, body weight. Status, what do you mean? Your relationship status, Nurin? Hidayah, status or insecurities, or it could be your skin, your hair, right? Okay. Oh, okay. Why is it sensitive? Because at your age, you are expected to have partners already ke?
Kebanyakannya.
Masya Allah. How old are you guys, people?
21.
Masya Allah, very young, still very young. Okay, okay lah. I mean, I'm not in your shoes lah, but I think it should not be a sensitive issue. You mean you should actually be proud if you're single, because you can still, enjoy life. I mean, my personal opinion. All right. So body weight, insecurity, status, lagi. I asked this question before. I think it was last 2 semester. Education. True enough, Marisa. My students said, as students, one of the sensitive question would be your result, something related to education. If among university students, it will be your CGPA. And then for SPM students, thank God they would not be getting their marks, or they will not be getting their result before Raya. Or will they? I'm not quite sure. So they will ask how many A's you get. Berapa A? Hari tu, Dean's list ke? Right? So different people, they have different level of sensitivity. For your generation, the question related to your insecurities, I think insecurities is not limited to any generation or age. But then if you talk about education, I mean, I think the younger generation would be more sensitive on that. I think talking about status, whether you are going to get married or do you have a partner or not, is usually for people of my age. Like, when are you getting married, or do you have anyone? Like, and at my age, people of my age, they would expect you to even bring partners already. Macam for your age, I think, at least for my family, they might expect you to have a partner, but they don't expect you to bring your partner to family events. But for people of my age, I think they would expect you to bring partners already. Okay. Masya Allah. I mean, okay lah. If you can get married early, then I think that's rezeki. But I think if you get married slightly later, it's also rezeki. I think it's best of both worlds. So para language, from silent to marriage, yeah, people. Okay, so usually when you are asked sensitive questions, kata macam, oh, berapa CGPA hari tu? Like, what's your CGPA the other day? You mesti macam senyum je. Atau baru cakap, do you have a boyfriend already? And then you like senyum je. Alright? In fact, if it's not silence, in our culture, we will always deny because it's another term. You always have to keep it private. That is also similar. That is something related to culture. Even if you have a partner, I think if your aunties ask you, you will tend to say no rather than to say yes. Right? You macam, even though you tadi dah message dah selamat hari raya semua pun, you will say, tak adalah, no lah, I'm like single lah, something like that. Because it's more relevant to our culture. But for the Westerners, when it is silent, it is considered as communication barrier, meaning that you don't deliver the content well, and you choose silence over using your voice. That's why sometimes when international companies, they have companies here in our country or any Asian countries, they have some communication barriers, because for us, the Asians, we hardly say no for a request. Yes. We always say yes first. But for the Westerners, if they cannot do it, they have to justify. So I'm not saying that a certain culture is superior than the other. We cannot say that because we have to respect other people's culture. But it goes back to the purpose of your communication. It goes back to who you are communicating with. All right. What is the extent of your relationship? Those are also other elements that you need to consider. Not to say that we are only confined to one culture. All right. So we have to adjust. I mean, as much as we say that, some questions are considered sensitive, but I'm pretty sure that if it is asked by someone who is close to you, you will be more open, right? So we need to adjust. Contohnya, macam dalam group discussion later. I mean, we have discussed, like today we have discussed that, all right, in Asia country, we acknowledge silence as respect. We don't want to override the elders and whatnot. Nanti during the group discussion, when people ask your opinion, then you just keep quiet. That would disrupt the communication process because the whole purpose of the discussion is to gather information. Kalau tak jawab, tak ada jawapan, tak adalah. You don't complete the communication process. Alright? Okay. Anything that you would like to add about non-verbal communication? There is a research, or if it's not a research, it might be just an article talking about how emojis has become the extent of communication. Previously, those days lah, not those days lah, let's say like 10 years ago, maybe? No, not even 10 years ago, like more than 10 years. Maybe during my primary school or secondary school. Secondary school pun, we still use, insyaAllah, letters, right? And punctuations for our emojis. But now you have many. In fact, on WhatsApp, you can choose the skin color. So sometimes people want to balance out their written and verbal communication is through the use of emojis. True enough, when you say okay with a smiley, okay with a thumbs up, okay with a love emoji, right? So it means different. If it's laugh out loud, what would be the emoji you would use? All right, okay. Oh, Allah. Okay. We are only limited to these few emojis. Is it love, thumbs up, party,
Yes.
clap? All right. If it's on WhatsApp, if it's a joke, like it's like you're like laughing, you laugh out loud. What would be the emoji? Is it still the laugh out loud emoji? Crying emoji. MashaAllah, yes. I just want to confirm it with you. This is what my students said. If like for the millennials and before, we are pretty direct. If it's funny, then it will be the laugh out loud emoji. Gen Z behavior lah ni. The skull emoji. And then I asked for justification. Why is it the skull emoji? Why is it the skull emoji? Aduh, hey, yes, that's what my students said. So, and then true enough, like some even have the crying emoji, right? When it's funny. So, different, like even emojis kan, different generation they will have different use of emojis. For the slightly older generation like me, then we will use more direct, and then the parents that will be a different kind. Macam contoh, I mean, it happens only few times. Like I can count with fingers, maybe like three, less than 5 times. But in the group WhatsApp, the big family group WhatsApp, like awal-awal dulu lah kot, when you will have like different fingers, right? And then sometimes when my auntie wants to send a finger emoji instead of thumbs up or the index finger, she sent the middle finger emoji. You know, like sometimes the older generation, they are slightly ignorant kan when it comes to technology, not because they don't know, but more because they are not exposed to technology as much as the younger generation, especially you and the younger generation. So macam benda tu dia rasa macam, I mean it's just finger. But of course for the younger generation in the group, I mean we would laugh about it because we know the meaning behind it. Macam tu lah. See? So Afifah had the same experience. Dia macam suka hatilah nak pakai jari mana pun asalkan is a finger. But little that they know, different fingers mean it brings different meaning. Alright? In fact, when it comes to email writing, previously we don't encourage emojis, but now if it's between colleagues, we are more lenient, right? We allow emojis, especially in professional chattings and whatnot. We do that. Macam even students, when they say Assalamualaikum and whatnot, they will give it a thumbs up or they will give a smiley, okay? It does make sense, right? So same goes to non-verbal communication. Macam mana you utilize your emojis, macam tu jugalah you utilize your non-verbal communication. Alright? Okay. Anything that you would like to add, people? Any personal experience when it comes to emojis or non-verbal communication? Okay, I mean, I guess you have nothing in mind. All right. Okay, moving on. Now, how can we improve non-verbal communication? Okay, guna non-verbal communication, that how, right? The simplest way of doing it is to pay close attention to non-verbal signals, right? I mean, if I think the easiest example would be the laugh out loud emoji. I'm pretty sure if it is among your elderly, I mean your parents, your aunties, you will use the laugh out loud emoji, right? I don't think you will use the skull or the crying emoji. I think it does not make sense to your parents, kan? Right? So
Yes.
you need to adapt. Okay? Ataupun macam with your friends, usually maybe you will say Assalamualaikum, peace. Tapi dengan lecturer, Assalamualaikum, peace juga ke macam mana?
No.
So dia macam kena adapt and adopt. I find this funny because like sometimes lecturers, I mean, I don't think we have Gen Z lecturers. No, right? I think the youngest lecturers, the younger generation would be millennials lah kot, the early millennials, I think. Oh no. Even Gen Z are already working, yeah. Okay, so sometimes we don't get the emojis. Like, why do the students like send can't remember, tapi macam something like it does not make sense. Tapi macam tu lah, right? So you have to adapt and adopt, all right? So selalunya to be safe is always the thumbs up, right? Okay. And then we have to interpret non-verbal signals carefully. You have to pay attention to false non-verbal cues. Tak semestinya kalau orang tu hantar love emoji, maksudnya dia love. Kan? So we have to be mindful of that, of the situation and the culture, right? All right. So it's pretty simple and direct on how we want to improve our non-verbal communication. The key word is to be more mindful, because sometimes when we communicate as we go. We don't consider all these little details of the use of emojis, the use of even like simple body language and whatnot. All right. Okay, so here are some emotions charades. The emojis are pretty limited, but if it is because of fear, what kind of emoji would it be? Tak bestnya Google Meet punya emojis are so limited. I'm pretty sure if it's on WhatsApp, then there will be more, right? Okay. What about happiness? Here we have quite a few, right? It could be love, it could be the laugh out loud, it can be the party emoji, right? The clapping emoji. I think that will make sense too, right? Tak ada lagi orang cakap happy birthday with thumbs down, right? It has to be aligned. Okay, as simple as that. Selalunya when we talk about when you wish or when you compliment a person, it must be with a flower. Like, oh, congrats with a flower. Congrats with a balloon. Congrats with the party emoji, right? What about annoyance? What would be the most accurate emoji that we have on Google Meet? Okay, thumbs down. You do have the eye roll. I mean, you copy and paste, is it? Okay. Oh, you can do that. Let's see. Let's share it on the chat box. What about confusion? Okay, all right. So when you respond in a text, you say with the wandering emoji. So, macam wait, I'm giving a second thought, right? Ataupun macam you know what? Let me think again, right? Okay. What about guilt? Yeah, mostly it will be the sad emoji, right? Do we have anything else on WhatsApp? I think, maybe the hands together, right? Oh, yeah, that would be it. Okay, this is also another emoji that we don't get it. Why is the head blue? Okay, panic, right? Oh, mashallah, is it? Right. Okay, thank you for the explanation. Okay, what about surprise? Right, okay, mostly that. I think in WhatsApp we do have with the hands, right? Okay. Yeah, that Dania shared that for us. Okay, in the chat box. What about discuss? I think eye roll up would make sense. Okay, the green emoji, inshallah. Imagine that. Okay, thank you, Dania. I think so far Dania has the perfect emoji in the chat box so far. Okay. All right. So the green emoji is the discuss. All right. Last one, shyness. Really, Afifa? Is that it? That one is for discuss. I feel like that one is more like discuss. That's shy. Okay, I think Amira, Hanim's, those are the shy emoji. I think the one with the red cheek, I think that would make sense too, with the eyes closed and the red cheek. I think that is also considered as shy. You know, when you say, oh, thank you, and then with that emoji, right? Yeah. So it goes the same people. In real life pun macam tu juga. So when you say Assalamualaikum with a smiley, all right? So in real life, that should be with the intonation. So it's Assalamualaikum and then with a smile. Things like that. So that must be seen during your pitch presentation and also during your group discussion. Kena nampak. Kena tengok. I think for Hidayah's emoji that is like overconfidence, like thank you, kind of emoji. I mean, I would take it as that. All right. Okay. So we have to make sure that your content, what you are saying, is aligned with how you are saying it. All right. To make sure that the content is well delivered for that particular context. So I think the easiest example would be when you communicate with your lecturer, with your father, and also with your mother. Even though they are both your parents, even though you are brought up in the same house, but I'm pretty sure the way you communicate with your father and your mother would be different, right? Yeah. What would be the obvious difference? Anyone? Let's ask the male students. I mean, which one they are more inclined to be close with? Nurse Amiro, are you with me? Okay. Can you share with us what will be the difference between how you communicate with your mother and your father? What will be the difference?
So, uh,
Masya Allah, dah left pula. What about the others? What about the girls? Who are you most close with? Is it your father or is it your
Mommy.
mother? Because mothers, they will be easier to negotiate, is it?
Yes. Yes.
I think it goes back to how you are brought up. I am with Nurin. It's easier for me to negotiate with my father. Kalau mak ni dia macam banyak macam, you know, there's more questions behind that request. But with the father, it's like you ask one question and then okay, they don't have further questions to ask. Like mothers, they would like, mak tanya abah. Oh, terbalik pula with me. I think Nuri might have the same situation. For my parents, whenever I ask my father, because he's very easygoing, he will always say that, ask your mom, because the mom will be more critical. I always fight with my dad, all right? I think that as you being very close to your parents, to your father actually, for you to, you know, be able to fight with that person. All right. My dad would never say no. Yeah, same goes to me. My father would never, adalah would never say no kan. It's like too good to be true, but both. All right. Is there a different strategy to speak with your parents? Ada strategi tak cakap dengan when you speak to your father, it's of a different approach. Talking to your mom, lain sikit approach dia. I think in general with the mom, you have to play around with the emotions, right? Make sure that she is in a good mood, right? And then, you know, you don't directly straight away ask or, you know, present your request. You ask about her day first. Betul. Kalau with the father, like don't go over the bush. Straight to the point. What do you want? Sama je. Even though we come from a different generation, I think parents are mostly the same, right? So usually father ni, what do you want? What do you need? Right? Jangan macam tak sampai-sampai lagi point dia, right? So with father, it's pretty direct. You need this and that. That's why if we are going to discuss another element in communication would be gender, people. There are so many studies that look into how different gender communicate. Okay, let me ask you a question. This is not about personal relationship. Yeah, I mean not to say personal relationship. It doesn't have to be between partners, girlfriend, boyfriend, husband and wife. It could be just between male and female friends, right? Or even siblings. Let's say if you are tired that day and then you say, oh, I'm so tired. How would your female friends react to that? Or if I say, okay, if I say, consider me, I mean, in this situation, I'm a friend. Macam, oh, I'm so tired today. Macam, oh, okay, Daya. Sian dia. Okay, lagi? Anything else? Okay. Right, and then be like, oh, what happened? Like, what did you do today? You did not had sahur, is it? And things like that. Okay. But what if you say this to the male friends? Contohnya, Aiman, let's say I say this to you. I'm so tired today. How would you respond, Aiman?
Kalau saya orang cakap penat, tidur.
See? Because in general, women communicate to understand and men communicate to provide solution. In general lah, there are multiple studies on that. All right. But men, they communicate to come out with a solution. Sebab tu, even in a family, right? When there is some family conflict with the extended family and whatnot, when you share it with your cousins or with your aunties, the female family members, they will always have more questions to ask. Oh, what happened? What did they say? How did they respond? But for men, they either listen or they say, okay. Oh, ya ke? All right. Things like that. Because men, when they communicate, they want to provide solution. So if you're tired, rest. If you're hungry, eat. If you are tired, then sleep. Not as simple as that. So even that, we have to adjust accordingly. So that's why it makes sense. You communicate with your parent differently. Your mom will be of a different way and your father will be of a different way. Same goes to your male and female encounters. So begitulah, right? And then there are also elements like personalities, right? If you know that person an introvert, so you may want to ask open-ended question to trigger their interest rather than to ask yes or no question. Kalau extrovert, you ask yes or no question pun, they can like give you details. So we have to adjust, all right? So when it comes to other kind of communication, we have feedback communication. So this is where you have back and forth communication, right? As you justify your points and then you will get feedback whether they understand it or not. This is close to your second assessment where you are supposed to present your points and then to get feedback from your team members, all right? Other than that, mass communication. Now this one is something related to your first assessment where you are delivering information to a bigger number of people. All right. So the examples here, we have newspapers, magazines, radio, television, websites, and social media networks. So it is very important for you to know who is your target audience. This is for your idea pitching, people. You know that, oh, these are your audience would be your classmates. So your classmates are mostly Generation Z. So your classmates, they are of a certain age. They are teenagers. Your classmates are business students. So how are you going to work around with their demographic to suit the content so that they are interested in your topic? Sebab itulah for advertisement, you will see that, oh, Aryani, the concept that they have for their campaign is for a certain age, mostly 30 and above women, right? And then you have all these trendy brands that would be for the younger generation. So they will have live TikTok, they will have promotions and whatnot. So same goes to you, people. Sama sahaja. Right? You have to adjust. If you want to talk to the younger generation, would it be fair if you share about, okay, let's say you want to talk about entertainment, right? Would it be fair for you to share about Elvis, or would it be more relevant for you to share about Taylor Swift if we are talking about Generation Z and millennials?
Taylor.
Taylor Swift, right? I think the moment we mention the word Swiftie, even if you are not a fan, you know that Swifties is Taylor Swift's fan base. Betul? Right. So sometimes the younger generation, they are more familiar with all these jargons. Cuba kalau you cakap Swifties kat your grandmother, they wouldn't understand. Right? So you have to adjust. So sometimes we always blame on our language. Kita cakap, alah, I'm not good in English language. Alah, I'm not good. I cannot speak language, English language well. Okay. Have you been to Loyat before?
Yes.
Yes.
Most of the shops, they are non-Malays, right?
Yes.
Yeah. But they can make sales quite a lot every day, right? So
Yes.
it's never about the language used. It doesn't mean that they have to speak grammatically correct all the time. As long as they are able to adjust accordingly to the communication process with the elements available, you can complete the process effectively. Dia jadi tak fun, dia jadi tak best, dia jadi tak efektif bila you cerita pasal Elvis, you cerita pasal Michael Jackson. It would not make sense to the younger generation, even though they had their glory before. Michael Jackson was Taylor Swift before. But maybe even if you know him, but you are not familiar with them. What about boy bands? Who are the famous boy bands that you know?
Coldplay.
Coldplay, all right. Other than that, Big Time Rush, BTS, 1D, One
K-pop.
Direction, right? Other than that, okay, so these are the younger generation lah kan? Okay, MCR, that is K-pop, is it? XO, My Chemical Romance. So for maybe I don't listen to those musics already, but when I listen to a Backstreet Boys song and then dia macam menggamit memory. ataupun when I listen to Rafiq, ataupun VE, NSYNC, those are during my time. But if we talk about BTS, if we talk about Coldplay are still relevant, they're still relevant now, right? So, but BTS, that will be the younger generation, right? My niece, my nephews, they are familiar with BTS. Like they could actually Blackpink, if that's the girl group, that would be Blackpink, right? Kalau during my time it was couldn't think of one at the moment, but you know it's a different girl group, right? So you have to make sense to your audience. What do they know, or how can you utilize their background, right? Maybe for business students, if you talk about numbers or you transfer the information in numbers, percentage, maybe they would make better sense because they are used to that. Could be it. All right? Okay. Sebab itulah sometimes you will see that your lecturers would try to relate to you. Macam they would mention like, if I came across like reels on Instagram that I find it relevant to my students, I would share it with my students because I think you would know it better rather than if I talk about any TV series during the 90s. Maybe it would not make sense to you, right? So we try to stay relevant for each other, yeah? Okay. And when we talk about the last point here, it says that it addressed to the masses to an extremely large audience. So dia macam nearly impossible for you to accommodate to all individuals. But we are covering the majority. So don't worry so much about every person in the audience, but focus more on the majority. So that's how you adjust to the content of your idea pitching. All right. And then we have group communication. This is for your second assessment where you will have face-to-face situation, back and forth interaction, and when there are conflicts and difficulties, you are expected to respond and resolve within that meeting. Okay. And last is the written communication. That would be aligned with your final assessment, which is business correspondence, where you provide or exchange information in written form. So for written form, it's more simplified, all right? It's more direct because we don't want people to get off track. We want to convey just the important information. So we need to adjust depending on the type of writing as we communicate. Okay, so that is the general types of communication that we are going to incorporate in our lesson and our assessment. All right, so any question, people?
No.
All right, good. So next week, we will start to prepare ourselves for idea pitching. I don't expect you to have a title yet or a topic, but hopefully you are more mindful already now with what's going on in your daily life. All right, so that there are things that you wish to change, there are things that you wish to improve, and you can incorporate it as part of your assessment. All right. Okay, so before I let you go for today, don't forget to tick your attendance. Seems like you have. Let's see, Alia, are you here? No? Okay, Alia, you are here. You can take your attendance. All right. Farah Christina, let's see. Farah Christina, are you here with me? All right. Muhammad Azrul Hakim. Okay, Azrul Hakim is not here. What about Ihsan and Nur Afiq? Okay, pun tak ada juga. Alright. What about Sarah Sabrina? Sarah Sabrina did not join the class last week.
Madam. Sarah Sabrina tu dia salah masuk group.
Oh, alright. So I will have to check Sims then. Okay. Alright. Thank you for informing me. And thank you so much for joining today's session. Hopefully it is informative enough for you. Hopefully you have learned something new. All right. And I'll see you next week for a different aspect of communication. All right. Thank you everyone.
Alright. Thank you, madam.
Selamat berbuka.
Happy iftar.
Happy
Ya,
iftar,
you too.
madam.